Hello and welcome to another episode of The Wave. I'm your host, Don TECSON, and we're coming to you live right here from my living room via Zoom. And my special guest for today is a young lady who has began her wonderful Alberni Valley experience just about 2 to 3 years ago. And she's here to tell us all about it. I'm so glad she was able to take the time to join us today. And her name is Melissa, but I will let her tell you her last name because it's kind of tricky, okay? So Melissa, let's explain first what your name is all about. So your legal name is Melissa
Charbonneau.
Charbonneau, and that's kind of French.
It is, yeah. It's a French last name from my dad's side.
Okay, and then in Facebook, you are Melissa Suginobu.
Suginobu.
See, I told you it was tricky.
It's a tough one. It's not a common last name.
Suginobu.
Suginobu, that's right.
Okay, Suginobu, and that is of Japanese orientation. That's
my mother's maiden name.
Ponytail today because I have a Japanese girl. I have to turn Japanese a little bit.
It's like the song, right?
Short of putting like a chopstick through my ponytail. Anyway, so Melissa, darling, and Melissa, by the way, was one of my co-stars or castmates in Mamma Mia, the most successful, which was successfully ran in 2019. Thank God it was before the crisis.
I know. Could you imagine? Oh, if we had done all of that work and then been canceled,
right? I'm just so happy we did it when we did, and it's going to be a long time before such a play is going to be done again at the Capitol Theater. That was so much fun, right?
Amazing. It was one of the best experiences of my life. I had so much fun. I learned so much. That's how I met you. I met
exactly.
So many people. It was great.
I think we met even at the audition.
Yes. Yeah, we did.
We met at the audition, and we were both cast as, what was our cast? I know I was Father Alessandro, but we were also cast as, there was the ensemble and there was the chorus.
We were the chorus, yeah.
We were the chorus, yes. Singing and dancing and looking cute all over the stage. That was such a great experience.
It was
if I recall correctly, we had 11 runs of the show and 9 were sold out.
Yeah.
The only 2 were not sold out was the first night and the preview night. Of course, you can't sell out a preview night and you can't sell out the first night. But after the first night, word got around town and it was a sellout that we had to add 2 matinees or 2 showings, a matinee and an extra run.
That's right.
Just because of the demand. It was a great experience.
It was wonderful. And I think it was so great for the theater itself, to sell so many tickets and have so many people in the seats seeing what we do. I mean, it was fantastic.
Oh yeah, definitely. And you have your Mamma Mia mug. Show it off. Show off your Mamma Mia mug. See, I have one too, but we're doing the Wave show, so I have my Wave mug. But I have a Mamma Mia mug because I was part of Mamma Mia. Okay, darling, tell me a little bit about your history. Why 2 names? Suginobu, did I get it right?
Yeah,
and Charbonneau or Charnobo?
Charbonneau.
Charbonneau. It sounds like one of my favorite wines, Charbonneau. Okay.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so Charbonneau is French.
French.
So tell us about
that. So on my dad's side is all European descent, French, Scottish, and English.
So
that, of course, is my legal name. That's, what I go by at work, things like that. But of course, Facebook is a little different. So on Facebook and that, I go by my mom's maiden name, Suginobu. And I really identify with the Japanese side of my family, right? So that's why I do that. Also, it just makes it a little more kind of separating work from your personal life, right?
Yeah, and Suginobu sounds more exotic.
Right. That's my stage name, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that would make a better stage name.
Do you think that?
I still can't pronounce your last name, the French one, Charbonneau.
Yeah.
Chardonnay.
That's probably more accurate. Chardonnay is more accurate.
No, I'll go with Suginobu. So tell me a little bit about the Japanese background of your side of the family.
Yeah, so my grandparents were both born in Japan and immigrated to Canada. my grandfather came over first and began working in the logging industry. And then my grandmother joined him a little while later. And their oldest daughter stayed in Japan. And the two of them were working. They were working in logging camps.
Oh.
Yeah, working kind of up the Seashell Inlet in that area, Seashell Peninsula. And just when my aunt was supposed to come to Canada, of course, the Second World War started. And of course, there was no Japanese people allowed to come to Canada. And my grandparents were sent to an internment camp up in New Denver in the Kootenays. And that's where my mother was born. She was actually born in the internment camp up there.
Wow, that's a very interesting story. I'm sure we can tell that some other time. But that's why I wanted to get into it. But anyway, we're here to talk about Melissa Suginobu's wonderful Alberni Valley experience. When did that begin for you?
I moved here in January of 2018. I was offered a transfer with my job, so just to a new office. And I've always wanted to live on Vancouver Island. We grew up vacationing out here, going out to Long Beach back in the day when you could actually camp on the beach.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. And then as I got older, my vacations were always to Tofino, Ucluelet, to go surfing and things like that. So when the opportunity to move to Vancouver Island presented itself, I just jumped on it.
Okay.
And I did a lot of research about Port Alberni before I got here, and it just really appealed to me.
Yeah, tell me about that. So originally, though, you were headed for, where were you then before coming to the island? You were somewhere in the mainland?
Yeah, I was on the Sunshine Coast.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's more or less island vibe already where you were, the Sunshine Coast, right?
Yeah.
And you've been coming to the island as a little girl, and you felt the vibe, you loved the vibe, because there is such a thing as the island vibe. And the island time and the island pace and the island, the island whatever. We have our own atmosphere here. We have our own aura. We have our own chakra, if you want to call it that. Anyway, so originally you're in the insurance business, or it's not exactly insurance. It's called something else. It's non-essential or something. You were telling me about that yesterday.
Oh, like personal lines.
Personal insurance, like car insurance and property insurance and stuff.
Car, home,
not life.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, like home and car and other stuff. Yeah. Right. So originally, because you got your license as a insurance, you yourself an insurance broker, insurance agent, or underwriter?
I'm an insurance broker and an underwriter as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you took the course for that, and so you were going to Ucluelet.
Yes.
Was that your main initial goal? Was Ucluelet?
That was my goal, and I was offered a job at like the Ucluelet and Tofino branches. And I spent months trying to find housing out there, and as you know, it's difficult.
Well, everywhere. Good luck. I think you should say it's easy to find housing, but affordable housing is a whole different issue.
Affordable long-term housing, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people want to move out in the summer so they can rent it out and then come back. And I thought, okay, so this isn't working. I spent months looking for housing, and it just wasn't panning out. So I actually turned down the job, and that's when the Seashell office, because I was living out there, contacted me and said, why don't you come work for us? And then when you're ready or when you find housing, you can just transfer to Vancouver Island. And so that's kind of how I ended up with the company I'm with. And then I was in the Seashell office for about a year and a half, and an opportunity popped up. I had been already looking at Port Alberni as a possibility because it's just, it's so close to the West Coast, and I think of it as just a great jumping off point for the island. You're close to Nanaimo, you're close to the shopping, you're close to the wilderness. And then, an opportunity to transfer came up, so I just jumped on it.
Yeah, okay, now, so we were talking a few days ago, or actually, 2 days ago, and we were talking about, so you were thinking about coming to the island, and then you did your research like every intelligent and smart person does. You had to do research, especially now that we have Google and all this technology available to us. So tell me about your research in the beginning about Port Alberni.
So It's so unfortunate that when you type in Port Alberni into Google or, living in Port Alberni, one of the first things that pops up is that article from years ago where Port Alberni it was voted like one of the worst places to live.
Mhm.
And there's this stigma I find still. And I thought, well, that's not really very fair. One, the article is quite old. And I thought about it and I thought, well, once a city or a town is kind of saddled with that label, I imagine that they would work very hard to get rid of it. So I started looking at things like, recreation in the area, what kind of facilities are available, businesses, organizations, and just what to do in the area. And I was really surprised. There's a lot to do in Port Alberni,
Oh,
and this
yes.
city provides quite a bit for people to do. There's great recreational facilities. There's, private like gyms, there's shopping, there's eateries, there's so much to do. And then just the location. We're in the middle of a valley. It's beautiful. There's so much to do outdoors. Being from the Sunshine Coast, it's very much an outdoor lifestyle. And so I wanted to continue that here. And when I started looking, there's lakes, there's hiking, there's camping, there's so much to do. And then I actually found the Capitol Theater as well. And I looked into that and I was like, this is fantastic. There's a glee choir, there's,
The
the
C
Portal
notes.
Players. Yeah,
C notes. Did you ever join the C notes at one point?
I did. It was the first thing I joined when I got here. I'm still a member.
Oh, wow, cool. Where
So
were you then? So what year was this? What year was this?
this was 2018.
Oh, okay. I wasn't in the C notes anymore by 28. I did join the C notes as well at one point in time. Then I was also cast in a one-act play.
Nice.
Then when we met together, we met each other at Mamma Mia, because when the the call for auditions came out, I got a personal message from the director about the auditions. I said, how can I say no going to the audition? Besides, I always wanted to be part of a musical, and
Oh, yeah.
thank God we were able to do it before this stupid pandemic came about.
No, and I was so excited because right before everything shut down, the theater was getting ready to announce their next season and the productions they were going to do. And I was just sitting there waiting, I was waiting for something to be posted, and then everything shut down. So I was
Yeah.
so sad because I was already getting ready, thinking like, if they did another musical, like what am I gonna sing? I was getting ready for my audition. But yeah, so now I have to wait.
We all have to wait. Unfortunately, that is the reality. So tell me now so how long have you been in Port Alberni now? Basically 2-3 years, right?
Just a little over 2 years,
Just
yeah.
a little bit over 2 years. So what do you remember when exactly you came to live in Port Alberni and
Oh yeah,
begin your wonderful Alberni Valley experience about
I
2018?
yeah, January 12th was the day.
Wow, you're like me. I remember the day I arrived to live in Port Alberni. So January 12th, 2018, that's still part of winter.
It was, and I'd never been to Port Alberni in the winter time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually an interesting story. The move out here, at every turn, something went wrong.
Uh-oh, Murphy's
And
Law.
yeah, right. Like it could have been a kind of a disaster, but my experience, it became kind of my wonderful Alberni Valley experience because
Tell me about
everything.
it. Tell me about it. Okay.
So when I decided to move out here and I got the job, it was like less than a month. I had sold a bunch of stuff. I packed everything up and I was out here. It happened very fast. And the next thing I know, it's like just after New Year's. I'm coming out here. I've got a U-Haul with all my worldly possessions in it. My mother came because she just had to make sure I was going to be okay. My
Mm-hmm. What a
sister came,
sweet mother.
yeah, right?
That's
And
what
my
moms are. Look at my mom.
oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
taking care.
exactly. They have to take care of you, right? She wanted to make sure I was going to be okay. My sister came to help with the actual moving, the physical moving of things. She brought her son, my 6-year-old nephew, and there's me and my dog. And so we all come over. It's pouring down rain. It's
Uh-huh.
cold. It's miserable. We get to Port Alberni and I go to the realtor's office, and there'd been like a mix up with the bank and closing dates, and I actually couldn't get the keys to my place. So I've got my U-Haul, I've got my family, I've got my dog, and I have
Uh-oh.
nowhere to go. And they said, you're not going to get the keys today. And
Oh.
I went, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And to top it all off, I was very sick at the time. Like I had like strep throat. So I'm just miserable.
It's practically flu season at the time, right?
It was, yeah. And I was having a really hard time breathing and just, staying upright.
And were you the one driving the U-Haul?
I was driving, I had my SUV just packed with stuff, and my sister's driving the U-Haul, right?
Okay.
So, the real estate office, they were amazing. They offered all these solutions, and they really, because, we were like, what are we going to do? We have nowhere to go. I'm essentially homeless.
Oh my God.
It was horrible. And
So the beginning of your Alberni Valley experience was you arrived at homeless. Okay.
I was homeless.
I'm sure there's a happy ending to this. Okay, tell us about it.
So that night, I ended up checking my family into a hotel. We got a last minute hotel room just so everybody could rest. And I actually spent my first night ever in Port Alberni in the hospital because I was so sick. And everybody was amazing.
You spent your first night in Port Alberni in the hospital.
In the hospital.
Well, in fairness, we do have a nice hospital.
It's a wonder. I was actually really impressed. It's a beautiful hospital. It's a beautiful facility. And the staff are amazing. And you know me, I'm a little accident prone. And so I had to go to the emergency room a few times since I've lived here. And the staff are always amazing. The doctors and nurses there, like they were so great. And they're, I was telling them that I'm in the process of moving here, and I'm laying in a hospital bed, and they're giving me steroids because I can't breathe, right? So they took care of me. The next day,
It wasn't COVID yet then.
No, it wasn't COVID yet. I was just like really bad strep throat. So then the next day, I go back to the real estate office, like, can I get my keys today? No, sorry, we don't have the keys for you. We're still working on it. And I'm like, oh my goodness. At this point, my sister and my nephew, they have to leave. So I drive them to Nanaimo. They fly out. My mom stayed because she's like, well, you still have nowhere to live. I can't leave you, right? So my mom stays. And at this point, the real estate agent that was helping us, shameless plug, Kathy Braden, she was helping us. And she was,
of course, not a shameless plug, darling. Kathy Braden is one of her favorites.
She's amazing. And she actually ended up offering me and my mom her rental out on Sprout Lake, vacation rental, free of charge until we could get into it.
You got to stay Sprout Lake. Wow.
So my second night.
There wasn't any buses going there yet.
Okay.
That's another topic.
I leave my U-Haul at the real estate office. I drove out to Sprout Lake and we spent the night there. They actually recommended for us to have dinner at Little Bavaria. So that was,
wow.
Yeah, and it was amazing. And I took, Black Forest cake back to the rental on Saturday because I was still feeling quite sorry for myself because I was homeless. So my second night I spent eating Black Forest cake at Sprout Lake.
Wow. And you're homeless. So there you go. Homeless in Port Alberni, eat Black Forest cake in Port Alberni in Sprout Lake. That's what the homeless do. Okay.
So day 3 of my Port
Alberni Valley experience. Okay, day 3.
We go back to the real estate office. They're hoping that day they'll get me the keys. But in the meantime, now my mom has to fly home. So I drive her out to Nanaimo and leave her, and I come back. And I finally get the keys, and I'm so excited. So I drive down to the house. I unlock the door, and my phone rings. Now remember, this is January. And January on Vancouver Island can be pretty foggy. Mm-hmm. So it's the airline calling saying all the flights are canceled due to fog. Your mother is stranded here. Can you please come pick her up? So now I have to turn around, go back to Nanaimo and pick up my mother. And by the time I get back, it's dark.
Day 3 or day 4 already?
This is day 3.
Okay.
And so I finally get back to Port Alberni. I finally get to my house. I've got my U-Haul. It's dark. It's pouring down rain. It's freezing. And all we're trying to do is just unload enough to spend the night. Like just get some mattresses on the floor just so we can go to sleep. And then my new neighbor comes over and she has cooked us dinner. And she's like, come inside. Like never met her.
No, to back up on your new neighbor. You haven't met yet. This is the first time you're meeting her. Oh my God.
And she comes over and she says, we saw you unloading. It's dark, it's cold, it's raining. I made you dinner. So come inside and warm up. eat. And I was just like, you know, every person went out of their way to help us. And it you know, made it such a great, what could have been a terrible experience. And it's become kind of the defining experience for me in Port Alberni, is that people here genuinely care about each other and they genuinely want to help each other. So I was like, you know, it could have been so bad, and it turned out really quite wonderful. So
Oh my
that was
goodness, I'm in tears. What a wonderful story, Melissa. Thank you for sharing that. It's such a wonderful place. It's a wonderful community. I mean, we're surrounded by the beauty of nature. We have lakes, we have oceans, we have mountains, we have waterfalls. The highest waterfalls, Della Falls, is right here in
it's
Port.
beautiful.
Have you been to Della Falls?
I have not been to Della Falls yet.
It was one of our plans in the wave because we have an adventure segment in our show, and one of the plans was to go up to Della Falls. A group of us are going to go up to Della Falls and do yoga at sunrise and say, this is how we get high in Port Alberni. But this damn COVID thing happened. So the plans to Della Falls are temporarily plans.
And it'll happen. It'll happen.
Yeah, it'll happen. Oh, another thing we were planning to do was go skydiving again, because a few months ago, like October as well, we went skydiving in Qualicum. Because,
Oh,
like
wow.
you said, Port Alberni is the perfect launching pad for the whole island.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Because we're in the middle of the whole island, so it's 2 hours to Tofino, an hour to Nanaimo, 3 hours to Victoria. So anybody who wants to come here and be able to afford to come here and stay in the island has to start in Port Alberni, because this is where the affordable accommodations are. Then you can just launch out everywhere and just come back and have some affordable and beautiful neighbors who cook you dinner. So I'm just curious, what was the dinner?
Oh my God. You know, I can't even remember what it was. I think there was rice. So she must have known we were Asian because she made us rice.
Was she Asian?
No, but
Okay.
but yeah, I can't remember. There was rice and vegetables. It was really good. That's what I remember. It was really good, and it was just so sweet of her to do that, right? And then the next day she came and she brought me kind of like a survival guide to Port Alberni. She listed, like, you know, the shopping that was close by, the best place to get Chinese food. She included coupons to the stores. Like, I was like, she's just her own welcome wagon.
Yeah.
So it was great.
That was
But yeah,
wonderful.
I really think, like, you are right. Port Alberni, we're right in the middle of the island, and people,
Mhm.
you know, my friends back home, and they're like, where is Port Alberni? And I always say, you know what? We're the belly button of Vancouver Island. We're right in the middle, and we're adorable.
Exactly. That's exactly what we are. We are amazing.
We are.
We are an amazing valley with all the experiences and wonderful things to go to. You've been to the Hole in the Wall, I presume?
I have, yeah, and that
There you
was just
go.
so neat. I got some great photos while I was down there. So yeah, I've been
Okay,
there.
yeah, cool.
I recently went to, is it Weiner Falls, or I call it
Wiener
Wiener.
Falls.
Wiener.
Wiener. It's
Oh, it
called
is Wiener.
Wiener. Yeah, it's spelled Wiener, but you know, it's more
I
Canadian
call
to say
it,
Wiener.
so I very recently went there. It was really nice. Yeah, just hiking and just anywhere I can get outside, and
Yeah, there are a couple of falls here. There's Wiener Falls, there's Stamp Falls, then
yeah,
there's Della Falls, and
yeah.
then we have Sprout Lake and the river and so many things you'll never, and you can discover a new hiking trail. Actually, practically every day there's a new hiking trail
Oh
to
yeah,
discover.
yeah. And then this last summer we discovered going down the river, floating
Hmm.
down the river. That's been
Oh, you
wonderful.
did tubing, or just
Yeah,
floating around the river?
that's a favorite of mine. That's like, you know, if it's sunny and it's nice out, it's like, let's go down the river. I love it.
Yeah,
And
I've been invited to do that a few years back when, the Pride Society, we have a very active Pride Society, a Pride organization, LGBTQ group here. And during the summer, they would, ride those tubes and they call it the Fruit Loop run or whatever.
have you gone? Have you gone down the river?
No, I have so many flotation devices. I've never been able to go because I'm working at the
Oh,
time. But now
right.
I'm not working because of this crisis thing, but there's no floating activity going on.
It might be a little cold to go down the river still.
Yeah, I know. Maybe in summer, we'll see. Because
Yeah.
definitely the dance is off. It's Pride Month in June.
Oh,
as
okay.
everybody knows, right? So that's when we're supposed to go down the river in our little loops, our rainbow loops.
Well, you never know. You might be able to.
Yeah. So you've been here 2 years now. So how are you feeling about your continuing wonderful Alberni Valley experience?
Oh, I love it. Like, to me, Port Alberni is home. I have no desire to leave. I've met so many great people, and I've gotten involved in, like, well, in the Capitol Theater. I joined the C Notes, Portal Players. I recently joined the Chamber of Commerce. So I'm trying to get involved in the community, and for me, that's how I've met so many people that way, and it's just been great. I mean, everybody's so welcoming. It's just such an inclusive community. So to me, it's great. I feel like this is home. I just took me a while to get here, but I'm finally here.
Well, thank you for sharing your experience with us, Melissa. It's such a beautiful and amazing story that holds true to the character, the essence, and the substance of this wonderful community. That's why I love it so much. The reason why I put up the show called The Wave was, like you, I have heard so many bad things about Port Alberni. And everything that's bad seems to be the loudest voice. I said, so there should be a voice that's louder, more vibrant, and more colorful. So there, I give you The Wave, the wonderful Alberni Valley experience. So to drown out all the negatives, we came up with The Wave to just, punctuate the wonderful Alberni Valley experience that is open to all. I had a friend tell me, said, oh, Don, stop promoting Port Alberni. I love it so much here. I don't want more people to come and ruin it.
That's the downside, right? When word gets out how great it is, everyone's going to want to come here, right?
Yeah, I know. No, so if you're a good person, come here. But if you're not, stay away.
We have a screening process.
No, I believe that everybody should experience the wonderful valley of Port Alberni. And
It's
I'm glad that you are now a friend
Yeah.
and a member of our wonderful community. Thank you for coming on the show, darling.
Well, thanks for having me.
Maybe one day we'll do a part to like a follow-up of Melissa's wonderful Alberni Valley experience.
I always have a story, so if you ever need a story, just call me.
I know there's so many stories. And I can't wait for the next production that we can both get involved in. And you should try, but before the crisis hit, got involved with the Barclay Sounds Community Choir. Directed by Michael Villette, Villet. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but Michael Villette. And he was one of our vocal coaches in Mamma Mia.
He was amazing, yeah.
And he conducts or organizes this choir called the Barclay Sounds Community Choir in the United Church. And we were rehearsing, and there was one piece that was really my favorite. Phantom of the Opera was going to be in our repertoire. Like, he sings to me, it was bone chilling.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I know. And then this COVID thing hit. Oh my God! I was going to sing Phantom of the Opera.
Well, I know the C Notes, they told us to just hold on to our music and to keep singing and keep practicing, because it will end. We will get back together soon. A lot of people in our choir on our Facebook group have been posting themselves singing, like making up little songs, just to kind of keep it light, right? So
okay.
Yeah, it's been great.
Okay, well, thank you for coming on the show. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, another person who has come to experience the wonderful Alberni Valley. Stay tuned for our next episode, where we will hear from other people or other persons who have come to live in Port Alberni, and indeed, they have a continuing wonderful Alberni Valley experience. In spite of the crisis, the wave continues. So stay tuned and see you next time on The Wave. Thanks again, Melissa.